Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on my journey of having my own talk show. I'm really grateful. Now, as you know, several things are taking place around the world with change. Change is coming. We have now the coronavirus. We have the protesters, and we just have the fact that people are losing their jobs, have no money. A lot of people are just in a bad spot. But the reason we're having these protests is because of things that have stemmed from the past and still seem to be haunting us in 2020. So I actually was looking on Facebook and finding things that were trending. And I found that now that the young people have a voice within this protest, which I think is an amazing thing, I have decided to invite a young performer onto my show tonight to just talk about her experiences living and working in the LGBT pronoun two-spirited community. Now, please welcome to my show. This is Luna Dubois. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, that was Luna Dubois.
How
Thank you
are
for speaking.
you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You are beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Fantastic makeup, fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, where are you from, Luna?
I'm originally born and partly raised in Nigeria. I moved here when I was 12 years old, so I've been here for quite some time now. I'm only 21 now, so yeah, about 8 years now, if I did that math right.
Oh, so now this is how are you adjusting to Canadian life in a sense of you being an adult now?
I think I've pretty much been adapted to it since I moved here, because when I first moved here at 12, I was still very young. I was still learning about myself. So it was kind of easy to adapt and learn and differentiate Canadian culture from Nigerian culture and whatnot. So I'm adjusted to the Western world now. I probably think like your average Western Generation Z or X or millennial, whatever you want to call it. So but the only thing that I had to adjust to was racism, because I come from a country, it's all Black people. No one's being racist towards another Black person, just not a thing, right? So when I moved here, I started experiencing that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, from years of just dealing with the different races, we understand in the Black community, sometimes people that are high yellow are treated different than people that are darker skinned.
Yeah, absolutely.
We understand that, but there is no excuse for that kind of racism within the Black culture, treating another Black person that way. Now, I saw that when did you come to the village? When did you start visiting the village?
Well, I started going when I was 18, when I had a fake, but legally 19 years old, I went out a lot more with my friends, and yeah, that's when I really started getting myself involved with the community. And a year after that, I think I think it was when I was 19, I dabbled into drag and started doing it, and here we are.
Okay. Now, when was your first taste of drag and you said, I have to do that and I know where I can do that?
So like every other teenager, I guess, you start from watching the first Drag Race, but the first time I ever saw a drag queen live face to face was at Cruising Tangs, I believe. I was out with my friends, watching drag queens. I don't remember who exactly I was watching, but I know I started watching Tainomi Banks, Jada Hudson, the big Black girls in the city, and and watching the show RuPaul's Drag Race, just seeing that, I was like, I knew I could do it too, because I went to school for fashion, so I like to design clothes and make things, and it was a way for me to join those two things together and create this new persona, which is Luna. So yeah, that was when I. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So how do you identify?
Uh, do you mean like sexually or?
No, how, yeah, like you tell me, how should we address you? Are you he, she,
Oh,
they?
okay. Oh, okay, yeah. She, her in drag, obviously, and when I'm not in drag, he, him. But usually, if you say she because you know me as a drag queen, I wouldn't like classify or anything. You know, I'm very flexible with it, and like I think I'm
Mhm,
a very androgynous person in my daily
mhm.
life anyway. So pronouns don't really bother me. But if you have to put it on paper, he, him out of drag, and she, her in drag.
Now, I must say, you look exceptional.
Oh, thank you so
Exceptional.
much.
I
Thank you so
mean,
much.
it's really fantastic. I'm drawn to the colors. Usually, I'm not really a color person, but the way you
Yeah,
did it is exquisite. It's
thank you
amazing.
so much. Thank you. I
So
really appreciate that.
you're welcome. Now, how did you, when you first did the shows in the bars, how did the other queens treat you? Not just
Uh,
necessarily the black ones or the white ones, just in general. How did you feel welcome when you went to Cruise and Tango to do the shows?
my first ever performance was actually at the Drink, and
Okay, the
this was
drink.
the first time. This was when I first started. Right, it was supposed to be a joke, just for fun. I didn't think I'd ever take it seriously as an occupation. So
Mhm,
I went in. People didn't really recognize me because I usually would go out as a boy, but no one could
mhm,
recognize who I was. So I performed, and everyone knew who I was. So it was great. It was a really fun experience. I had a great time, and it was that same night my friends were like, "You should think of doing this as a career," and that's when I had to start thinking. And then yeah, because people saw something in me when I performed,
mhm.
and I grabbed onto that, and I held onto it, and you know, kept pursuing it. And I think I'm doing pretty well for someone who started just like about 2 years ago. So yeah,
Mhm.
and
Okay,
go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish it off. Finish.
Yeah, yeah, and I say from so since that day, I kept doing that, kept practicing, and tried to get opportunities for myself in the village. And then shortly after that, in the new year, I started working at Woody's 2019, I believe. And
Mhm.
yeah, I've now
So, so the
Woody's
community.
is now Woody's is now my resident bar, no longer the
Okay.
drink because of the things that happened. So yeah, that's all for that.
Okay, so you feel welcomed in the community in a sense as a performer.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like
Ne-
when you're in drag, people
Mhm,
don't tend to be discriminated because you're a queen. You're this personality that they look at. People are usually there for us, you know. But
mhm.
as a boy, as when I'm not in drag, you can tell the difference. People are a bit more iffy, especially when we don't recognize who I am.
Hmm.
You could easily tell. But yeah, that's it for that.
Okay, so now, how do you think of what do you think of the drag shows in Toronto? I mean, the ones that you've been around. What do you think of the drag shows?
Uh, well, I think the drag shows are amazing. I think the Toronto drag community is such a massive powerhouse because we perform a lot and we do what we call marathon drag. We're always doing numbers after numbers after numbers. So you get to see a lot of talented people, different kinds of drag kings, gender performers, drag queens. You see the showgirls, you see the edgy girls, you see the girls that are into fashion, you see the ones that are just in between, just literally everything. And the community is so accepting of drag and
Mhm.
it feels like a family.
Okay, now have you ever felt like when you walked into the bar, not from the outside, you're
Yeah.
in the bar? Have you ever felt when you went into the bar, I don't belong here?
Um, for me, I have my days. I have my up days and my down days. Sometimes I feel like I have to do a lot more than the next girl because like I feel like I do the same thing as the next white girl or lighter skinned girl, and it's easy for people to see what they do. Whereas with me, I feel like the first thing they see is, oh, she's a black girl. So people already have I started to think what they could possibly expect from me. But
Mm-hmm.
then it takes what I personally do to change their minds, because I don't do what people think I'm gonna do. I do anything that I want to do, that I
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable doing as a person and what I love to do. So that way, it's that's how I get people to notice me in a sense, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I feel like, oh, my makeup has to be snatched all the time. I have to do a number that no one's gonna expect from me because I'm black. Like, I'm sure there's been times people would think, oh, she's gonna do a rap number just because what I'm wearing and my skin tone. But usually
Mm-hmm.
it always flips. It's never the case, and yeah.
So, how do the older queens treat you?
The older queens are definitely one of the nicest queens in the community, I'll say, because they've been in the game for so long, especially the colored queens. They've
Mm-hmm.
experienced a lot worse than I probably have, like when it comes to racism or sexism or anything, or internalized homophobia. Like, so just having them there as pillars makes it easier for me as a younger person in the
Mm-hmm.
community to thrive, because they're the ones I go to advise. They like, I may be young and in with the trends, but at the end of the day, they are the pillars of drag. They have been in the game and the business for so many years. So having them as mentors and advisors has just been such a great opportunity for me as a young drag performer.
Okay. Now, I heard you say something in the beginning of the last question. I
Yeah.
heard you say colored. Why did you say colored?
Uh, well, as a person of color, as a black person, I just feel like anywhere I go, the first thing people see is my skin tone. What
Okay.
so it you and it's a lot more different when you are a black person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
you could be Asian, you could be brown, you're still lighter than the black person most of the time. So
Okay.
like there's this sense of colorism that I've seen in the community sometimes. Just
Mm-hmm.
like the lighter Asian girl might get more recognition than the the black person who just happens to be black. And even though there's still people of
You're
color,
cutting out.
and even though there's still people of color, like the skin tone and how dark or light it is usually comes into place. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, something that I saw that are you a student at George Brown now, or you finished?
I'm done school.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what did you major in?
I majored in fashion design.
I'm sorry?
Fashion design.
Oh, fashion design.
Yeah,
So,
fashion design.
so,
Yeah.
so what do you plan on doing with that?
I don't really have any major goals with that right now, but
Okay.
as of now, I want to be able to merge those two things together. Like,
Mhm.
as Luna Dubois, all I've been doing with fashion lately is just going to events. I get invited to shows and magazine parties. So literally any fashion event that happens in the city. So I go as Luna. So I go as like a personality or a fashion icon, if you want to say that, because it's just really about the looks for me most of the time. But I also want to
Mhm.
start making my own looks and you know, merging that
Okay.
with my drag, and yeah,
Okay. So you want to be an entrepreneur and have your
yeah,
own fashion line.
yeah, in the
Now,
long run.
okay. So now that drag is in the mainstream with RuPaul,
Yeah,
and we understand, you had a post about. I'll get to that in a minute.
yeah,
The racism within the village of Toronto, well, within downtown Toronto, our gay village here.
yeah.
Now, but what I want to talk about before that is, do you think, because drag in Toronto is dead, and now even the bar that you were working in, Cruising Tango, that bar might not open back up. And Toronto is overrun with drag queens, all
Yeah,
fighting for these little stages and these little spaces.
yeah,
But yet, RuPaul has told you as a young person, you can have the world. This stage is huge. This come over here. But yet, do you think you can make a living with drag now in Toronto?
Uh, that's a very good question. Also a very tough one. It honestly just comes down to the status of who you are as a queen and what opportunities you're able to get. Like if you are someone that's doing for a long time and you're popular, you probably could make a living off of drag. Now with the world right now, coronavirus, we're all not doing anything. I could not even answer that question. Like before the pandemic, I was only doing drag. I intended on getting another job for the summer to make ends meet, but that could not happen for obvious reasons. So now we're kind of just stuck at home and just doing online drag. And as far as having the world as a stage, if that opportunity ever comes, absolutely. Well, and now thankfully we have Canada's Drag Race, so maybe some of our girls will get on there and be recognized all over the world.
Now, we hope that happens, but
Yes.
I've been in this community 31 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen it come and go. And now the reason I wanted to talk to you is because as a young person, I wanted to understand your experience of just being in the bars, how you fit in, how you feel about fitting in, how they treat you. And it's just the mere fact of your connection to our community, which is a very important thing, is to be connected to your community, whether it's resources, opportunities, the mere fact of your social life, the mere fact of just being who you are in our community where you can feel comfortable. Now, in the last 3 months, 4 months with the coronavirus, and now the protest. Now, did you take part in the protest?
I couldn't for the first one because I was performing for a fundraiser for the Black Lives Matter movement. So I was still kind of doing something at that time, So yeah, but I could not be at the protest. Okay.
Now, where is the issue? How do you feel about the community in general? The downtown village, how do you feel about that in general?
And do you mean in terms of racism or just culture? Or
I just want you to just say, if Luna Dubois is walking down Church Street, how do you feel? It's different. When I first came to Canada 30 years ago, and there was no Church Street. There was Isabella Street, Isabella and Young is where we hung out. Now, when I was on Isabella and Young, I was young and everything was amazing and I was so happy I fit in and I was discovering myself. Now, Luna Dubois, is walking down Church Street, let's just say before the pandemic, because this is an aftermath of something that everybody's going through. But before that, how did you feel just going to the clubs and the village?
I felt like safe in the community. I felt like I could walk anywhere, go anywhere, no matter how I look or how I'm dressed. Like it felt like a safe community. And I feel like Toronto as a whole is very accepting in terms of culture and sexuality and gender. But at the end of the day, there are still some clause here and there that need to be adjusted and fixed. But overall, it's a pretty great city.
Okay, now that you say that, this is where I want to go to your post.
Yeah.
I saw the post about you felt that the community or the bars themselves are racist, maybe towards you or just towards what you observe. Now, can you explain that to me?
So to be more specific, it was just a about the drink. I know Grady's, and mainly not even the staff, but just the owner. When I, like I said, if you saw my post, I said when I started drag, I started at the drink, and when I started performing there a lot for the open stages, or I started getting gigs, and I started noticing that this man
Can you
was.
talk into the microphone?
Oh
Keep
yes,
talking to
okay,
the
yeah. So when I started performing at this bar, I started noticing that this man wanted me to perform there a lot. Was I was asking to bring friends, would give me opportunities for shows and stuff, and I'd do all of that. Bring a crowd, and it would always come down to either not getting paid early or being told, "Oh, you didn't bring enough people, you didn't pack the bar." And if you ask me, quite frankly, that's not my job as a queen. I will promote the show as much as I can, but if I bring people, I bring people. If your bar is not packed, that's not my fault. And that's one
Mhm.
of the things that I started going further and further on. I started noticing was trying to always control what I did, control what gigs I get, try to micromanage me, and I just started to see this superiority complex. I didn't like that, and I made sure that was known. And he was never happy with that. He always wanted to have control and be in control of everything, and I'm not built like that. I would never let no like you're not my mom, you're not my dad, you can't have control over my life and whatever I'm doing with my life. So I didn't let that happen, and I started noticing it was started like it was a bit more hostile to me. I was pulling to the corner and said, "Oh, you have an attitude. Oh, you need to smile all the time. You need to do this all the time." It was just like always on my neck. And when someone's always on your neck like that, you get frustrated. And then
Mhm.
there was another instance where I don't know if you know the show, The Drink Twinks. There's
Mhm.
about
I know the
three or
show.
four of them. Yeah. So
Mhm.
amazing show, lovely, love all of them. They're all my friends actually too. And at the beginning of the show, I was there as a guest for them, and so was my good sister Virgo, who I actually live with. But we were there working, and after the show was done, he sat us down and he made me and Virgo sit on one side with the black girls and made the white girls sit on the other side. And we were like, why the segregation? Why do you need to separate us? And he was like, I need you guys to start a drink twinks. I want you to find another black girl so that it could be the white drink twinks and the black drink twinks. I was just like, and that is just so wrong on so many levels.
Mhm.
It's not okay. You don't need to pin us against each other because our skin tone, our skin color. So yeah,
Mhm.
just we didn't let that happen. We just rolled our eyes in the moment. But and yeah, that was one, and
Well, you
just so
know,
many.
I've been around the community, like I said, for a long time, and I understand that a lot of the people play nice, nice because they want you to work for little of nothing, or they want you to work
Exactly.
for free. And
Hmm.
then, of course, they're going to always pull the race card out because that is just the easiest thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Now, as a Black person within the community, what do you think is the real problem of is it that they're jealous because you look better than maybe the white performers or you perform better, or it's just the fact that they just want to use your talent because they don't feel like, well, we don't really know her, we're not going to really pay her. What how do you feel about just the fact of them inviting you to the bar but then treating you like you said, you're black over here and you're white over here?
Honestly, I can't read anyone's mind, so I can never put my finger on it. But once I can see the signs of like like mistreatment and not like treating me equally, then I I take a look at the room. I see I look at who's around me. I see how they're being treated. If I see that there's a huge difference, then like, and especially when it's coming from a white man who has power in the village, it's just so inevitable. And before, while working for this man, you're hearing complaints about him being transphobic, not like wanting to hire like AFAB queens. Just so many things that like
Mhm.
what once you have like a known knowledge of what this man is capable of, you just can't see past it. It's just very glaring and it's right in your face, and you can't even
So
put your like call it out, but and get shunned. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
kept quiet, but yeah.
so you think the community is racist?
I don't think the community as a whole is racist. I feel like there definitely are some racists like amongst our friends or people that are in the community, for the most part, I have been like privileged to meet a lot of accepting people and people that are very like diverse and not racist and you know. But
Mm-hmm.
there are some people that could either like they could be it could be your next friend. You just never know. But racism is not always in your face. It's always hidden sometimes. But thankfully for of the things going on right now, it's
Mm-hmm.
everything's starting to come out. People are being exposed, and you can see people's true colors, what they're posting and what they're saying online. I don't think the
Mm-hmm.
whole community is racist. I feel like I've been given opportunities, but I do feel like I do feel like people are even racist, but they don't even know they're being racist.
Mm-hmm.
So uh we're now that we're able to educate everyone and bring everything into light, I hope that people do change how they treat people of color, especially Black people in the
Mm-hmm.
community. Like I
Now,
swear, go on.
now, what? Why do you work for these places? I understand that sometimes you just have to prove yourself to sort of get your spot or, to make your way. I understand that. But you said that you've been doing this for 2 years now. Obviously, over the 2 year period, things have been building for
Yeah,
you to see now that there is a real huge problem about you being a Black person in our community. Now, why do you go back and do the shows there if you feel, I understand supporting your friends, but if a place you're not welcome and they discriminate against you, why do you go there?
so for the drink and Arguedes, I actually don't work there anymore. I got banned there, so I don't go to these venues anymore. I only work at Woody's and Garage and sometimes Cruise, very rarely though. But I don't
Mhm.
go to the Drink and Garage and not Garage and O'Grady's anymore. And Woody's and Garage are the places I work at, and I do other things other that are not in the village sometimes. And I actually started my own show in the East End in February before the pandemic. So I have other opportunities. I do some influencer work online, and
Mhm.
yeah, and sometimes I
So
work as a
now,
makeup artist.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
wonderful. I mean, because your makeup is ooh, fantastic. Trust
thank
me, it's
you.
beautiful. Now, the only thing I would say for Luna Dubois, my advice to you is
Yes.
looking the way you do, make that work for you. Don't make that work for them and
Mm,
make them rich and Luna is just Luna. You make sure if they're getting paid, you're getting paid.
absolutely.
Don't give away your talent for free. Never.
Yeah,
Now,
that's really good advice.
with that being said,
Yes.
I know you're young and you're eager and
Yeah.
you want to impress and you want to be a part of it all. We all do.
Yeah.
But don't let people use you. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Look at you. You're beautiful. You're
Thank
Black
you.
and beautiful. Be
Thank
proud
you.
of that.
I am so
A
proud
lot
of
of
it.
people in the world can't say that. Honey, I'm Black and I'm beautiful.
I'm Black and beautiful, girl.
There you go. So, I feel bad that the community has treated you that way, but trust me, being Black in this community, we felt it for years. If you don't do something they don't want you, that they don't like, they don't book you, they chastise you, they talk about you. But sometimes you just have to step up and brush them off and say, I'm not going to take your bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Because you know what, Luna? You don't have to. Because you have an education and you want to be a fashion designer. If you see that they're discriminating against you in the community and treating you the wrong way, you put all your energy into the fashion designer of Luna Dubois.
Yeah.
You don't need those little pitlins and them little stages in our gay community. Yes, it's okay because you need a place to feel like you belong and socialize with other young people like yourself. But you are at an age now and you have a degree, use it to make the best of Luna. Drag at the end of the day is just a mask. It's just a mask. Make Luna Dubois and the degree you have work for you. Don't be worried about those gays and those people in the bars and the way the people treat you. If they treat you wrong, stay away from that. It took me a long time to understand that. It took me a long time and a lot of hurt to not go to the bars, to not hang around the queens. But once I did, I realized I'm not missing nothing. You'll realize that when you step out and you
Yeah.
start doing things for yourself to make yourself a better person. Focus on Luna Dubois, the designer. Nobody's coming to Cruise and Tango and discover you. You have the internet now. Let me tell you something. I said this earlier in one of my conversations, and she was shocked when I said it. The
Yeah.
Kardashians have no talent, none, and they're multi-millionaires.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you think you did all that on your face. You thought about your costume, it's great. That is branding. That's your brand.
Yeah.
Working for you. Don't worry about those people in the community, but always stand up for yourself when it comes to racism. Be smart. Always speak, talk, have a voice for us because other people had a voice for us.
Yeah.
Same thing, I'm going to say this to you. RuPaul, an American drag queen, gave Canadians their opportunity, something other Canadians, meaning this community that has made millions of dollars from Pride and everything else, didn't give its own Canadian performers. So you think about that
Yeah.
when you go to bed at night. You think an American queen gave Canadians an opportunity, meaning she did not discriminate against any of you. She ain't seen you. She didn't see you. She just saw an opportunity to help you, us, get where we needed to go. Regardless of what her motivation was behind it, the opportunity came from an American who didn't discriminate against any of us. So you think about that.
Yeah.
She opened doors for you, you opened doors for others. So in in all fairness,
Yeah.
I'm I hope you're blessed and things will
Yeah.
get better for you. And
Yeah.
I hope that you can understand that sometimes not all people in the community are racist, but we understand that racism is alive and well in the LGBTQ pronoun two-spirited community in downtown Toronto. It's alive and well. And we, as Black people, we have to confront this every day, all day. So make sure you're treated right, you get what you need, you're equal, and make sure you do not work for these people or any of them for free.
Yeah, absolutely. No free
So
shows.
with that of me preaching, with that of me preaching, Luna, it was great talking to you. I
Absolutely. Thanks for
hope,
having
I
me.
hope, I hope that being the young person that you are, that you will be happy. And one day we'll be buying your clothes, girl.
One
And,
day.
I'm going to say this, you're beautiful. And you
Thank you
were
so
a
much.
fantastic um, guest today. And good luck. Keep the fight up. Make sure,
Absolutely.
you know, just do what you think is right. and you'll be all right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on my show today, Luna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I had Luna Dubois on my show today. She is a George Brown graduate with a degree in fashion design, and she came on to talk about some things that concerned her about the LGBTQ pronoun community, concerning racism and just the way she was being treated. So hopefully we have enlightened you on her story, and hopefully with a little advice from me and her story and the way she feels, hopefully we can educate others to treat each other a little bit nicer and be more respectful and understanding that we are all the same. We might not look the same, but we're human beings and we are all the same. We have feelings, we want love, and we want to fit in. So I just say out there, everybody, be safe, be careful, and keep up the fight. Thank you, Luna.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.